Good morning. My name is Gina. I'm going to talk to you about the health insurance coverage requirements. I am a supervisor here in the department, so let's get started. So now, how will you know as an employer whether or not this is something you need to be concerned about? You will receive the National Medical Support Notice, or as we also call the NMSN, or I like to call more fun paperwork because I know I love paperwork and I'm sure you all do as well. There are two parts, just kind of a quick summary. There's part A, the notice to withhold for healthcare coverage. That is where you're going to see the name of your employee and the children that we are seeking coverage for. And part B, which is the medical support notice that should go to your plan administrator for your health insurance. So now, what is medical support? Michael already spoke about monetary support because obviously we want to make sure that the children have monetary support coming in to support their needs. We also want to make sure that the children have health insurance coverage because anyone familiar with children knows that children get sick, they catch flus, they catch a stomach virus, they try to be Superman and realize they are not. So we really want to make sure that the children have some type of health insurance coverage. Our obligations as part of the DCSS are these. If there's not an order for health insurance coverage, we're going to go about getting an order, and we will enforce that order. We're going to go ahead and serve it on the employer, which is the NMSN coming out to you, and we will provide the information to the custodial party. So this is typically going to be the health insurance card. Sometimes you may only have the group number, that type of information. You want to get that information to our office, and we will send it to the custodial party. Sometimes that does come up. The employer will call and say, I have health insurance cards. What do I do with them? I don't have the address of the other party. Just send them over to us, and we will get them to the correct person. Another important area that employers are generally concerned with is time frames. When do I need to do this? How long do I have? So the magical number is 20 business days. So within 20 business days, that notice should be sent out to the group health plan provider again. And that might be in our office, that may be someone else. Your HR person will know who that should go to. So what exactly will constitute the health insurance? So we're talking about medical, dental, vision. This can be combined in one packet. It can be piecemeal. The basis is we want to make sure the child has whatever coverage they need because, again, children get sick, children get hurt. I don't know if any of you have paid for braces, but braces are incredibly expensive. So we want to make sure that the child has coverage. What other responsibilities do you have on your end? So you're going to go ahead and enroll the dependents, whether or not it's open enrollment. Now, most companies have a time period that all of their employees can make updates or changes, but our NMSN, this supersedes it, so you can go ahead and enroll the dependents. I do want to take note that open enrollment and a waiting period are two different things. Open enrollment is that month that we talked about. A waiting period is maybe your employee is on probation and then they can get the health insurance. Maybe they need to work a certain number of hours, whatever it may be. Now, if there is a waiting period, we do ask that you just put this aside, and when the employee can obtain the health insurance, then go ahead and put the child on the health insurance. Now, we will reach out to you again, but you'll be ahead of the game if you just take care of it when it comes up. You're going to go ahead and deduct the cost of the health insurance. And again, like Michael discussed earlier, we cannot exceed 50% of the net pay. And we have a couple examples in a few slides to show you that. And if you are unable to go ahead and enforce the health insurance due to limitations or some other issues we'll discuss in a little bit, you want to make sure that you let us know. So now let's say you calculate and the employee will be able to enroll in the health insurance. 50% is not going to be exceeded. But my employee comes in and says, hey, Gina, I cannot afford this. This is too much money. I have this, I have that. This is not going to work for me. And you have already determined that you are able to put the child on the insurance. What you're going to want to do is encourage your employee to contact our office to determine if the order is reasonable for health insurance. Now, this is a little different than what you're going to be looking at. What this means is if the cost of the health insurance is more than 5% of the employee's gross income. Now, keep in mind this is gross compared to what you're looking at, which is net. If it's 5% or more than the gross income, we will not make the employee put the child on the health insurance. The key here is this. We do not do this in every single case. Your employee has to reach out to us and ask us to review it. Also, your employee must send in copies of their pay stubs along with the health insurance premium amount. That way we can review them. Another thing I kind of want to stress here as well is if your employee calls us and we say, okay, send in the information, they have to send in the information. If we don't get the information, we cannot review it. And generally, no one's going to be checking back with them to say, hey, did you get it together? Did you mail it in? Because that's going to be your employee's responsibility to go ahead and make sure they get that information to us. But this is another option. Now, here's an example regarding the 50% of the net pay. So here you see 662 is employee's net pay. Half of that would be the 331. So with child support at 150 and health insurance at 50 for the total of 200, in this scenario here, you would be able to enroll the child because it's not exceeding the 50%. But again, you could encourage the employee to contact our office to determine whether or not the order is reasonable. But again, I want to stress that's going to be based on growth. Now here's an example where it does exceed. So we have the same net pay and the 50%. However, the child support is 300 and the health insurance is 50. So in this scenario, 350 is going to be more than the max we are able to take, so you would not be able to enroll the child. And we're going to go over this form in a few slides, but this is where you'd be completing item 5, indicating that it exceeds the limitations. What other responsibilities do you have on your end? Should we ask for the employee's social or their address? If you have the name of the insurance company, possibly you received this, and maybe the employee already has the children on the health insurance, then let us know. Get us that information within 30 days. Another important part here I want to stress is if there is a lapse in coverage. This is really, really important that someone lets us know. We want to know when it ended, the reason, and if it's going to resume. This is important because we do not want the custodial party to have a health insurance card that's not active, because one of a couple different things happen. Either the custodial party takes the child to the doctor and realizes at that point in time when the doctor's office tells them this is no longer active. And usually this, as with anything that goes wrong, this happens at the worst time. It's usually physical exams for the child to get into school, or the child has a fever, maybe the child has ongoing medical issues, anything like that. And it's very important that they have that. This also happens when, let's say, they go to urgent care. Perhaps your son thinks he's Spider-Man and realizes that he's really not, and you go to urgent care, and they take your card, and then 2 months later, custodial party gets a very large bill because the insurance was not valid anymore. So it's really important that you keep us updated on that. Some other things to keep in mind, you're going to go ahead and enroll Junior in the insurance, even if Junior does not reside with employee. Sometimes the employee may say, hey, you know what? Junior doesn't live with me, so I don't have to do that. Yes, you do. And you want to keep the dependent enrolled unless you hear from us. Sometimes the employee might come in and say, they told me I don't need to do this anymore, so you can stop it. And that may very well be true. You just want to make sure you reach out to our office because you need something from our office to discontinue the coverage. As with the garnishment, employers cannot do any of these things on the screen: refuse to hire, discriminate, discipline, terminate because of a national medical support notice. This part is important, responding to the NIMSIN. So if the insurance is not available for a variety of reasons, which we'll go over, you want to make sure you let us know within 20 business days. You're going to let us know that it's not available, and if the employee is no longer employed with you and you happen to know where they are employed, you want to let us know this as well. It's very important to respond and tell us, because what happens is you receive it, you say, oh, this person's not here anymore, and just cast it aside. We're going to continue to call you. We're going to send you letters. We're going to call you. We're going to send you warning letters over and over and over. So the sooner you let us know, the sooner then we will know to no longer contact you. I don't know about any of you. I know I get so many phone calls. I don't want to answer my phone. I'm sure no one else wants more calls or mail than need be. So if you let us know, then we will note that and stop bothering you. So here is your response area. And as you can see here, the variety of reasons. Perhaps the employee was never employed with you. Perhaps it's not offered. The number 5, that's where you're going to say the withholding limitations prevent you from doing this. Number 7, the bottom there, that's where you're going to say that you forwarded it to the plan administrator. So there's a few different reasons that you can mark. The basis is just let us know so that we can move on and not bother you anymore if we do not need to. As with the garnishments, all of our records are confidential, so the only thing we're going to be discussing with you is the NIMSIN and whether or not you're able to enforce it. A lot of times employees are confused, and especially if you're in a smaller company and so you're very close with your employees, they may ask that you obtain more information. We're not going to be able to discuss anything with you, unfortunately. Encourage your employee to give us a call. And here is the number if you have any further questions on this that you can reach out, or you can click on the link there at the bottom.